Every time I score past this pro goalkeeper, the football boots I'm wearing will get older until we get all the way back to the 1800s, where I'll be testing the shoes that players wore before football boots even existed. But first up, we need to test the most modern pair on the market.
So this is the most modern boot of the video. It's super light and it looks pretty good, so I'm going to rate it a 9 out of 10 for looks.
So I've created a graph where I'll rate the looks of every football boot in this video, and it's going to be really interesting to see if the designs really have gotten better over the years. I'll also be ranking these boots on two other metrics. The first being how long does it take me to score past a pro goalkeeper, and second, how many attempts does it take to land my hardest skill.
Right, so first up we've got the 2025 boots.
So just one attempt for our most modern boot, the perfect start. But how long will it take me to score against a pro goalkeeper in these boots?
Ah. Save. Get in. Oh, save. Oh.
So 5 attempts to hit the back of the net, and the modern boots have set a good baseline. But now we travel back 5 years to 2020, where I'll test out the next pair.
So the boot from 2020 is the Predator Mutator. Now this is a very interesting looking football boot. You've got a super high collar, you've got these rubber elements sticking out all over the boot, and all round this looks like something from the future. Let's give it an 8 out of 10.
So an 8 out of 10 on the looks test, but how long will it take me to do my hardest skill?
They've got a lot of grip on them, so hopefully that'll help with the skills. Oh, it wasn't the cleanest, but one attempt for the 2020 boots.
So no decline in performance yet, but how will they do on the shooting test?
Ah. Ah. Oh. Yeah.
It took me 6 attempts to score with the boots from 2020, and as we progress through the video, if football boots really have gotten better over the years, I'm expecting this chart to go like this, but let's find out as we travel back to 2014. So the boots from 2014 are the Nike Superfly 4s, and even though these were made over 10 years ago, they still feel really modern.
Released for the 2014 World Cup, they were one of the first football boots to introduce the collar design.
But I think they look really cool, so I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 for design. These boots were also pretty good for skills, and it took me 3 attempts to complete my hardest trick. The Superfly 4s were worn by Ronaldo, so you'd think they'd be good for shooting. Let's find out.
I've got to say, these are the comfiest boots so far, but I've got to enjoy this while it lasts. Let's go. Oh. 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 Oh no.
So these boots were nice for shooting, but it still took me 7 attempts to score a ball.
Get in. Boom.
And this is what the chart's looking like so far. So we've gone back 10 years and there's no decline in performance just yet. But coming up, we'll be testing football boots from the 1950s, the 1930s, where studs look like this. And I'll even try out what players wore before football boots even existed. But next up, we're going back to 2008, where for the first time, boots start to get a little less comfortable.
So these are such an iconic football boot. Just screams CR7 at Man United. In 2008, every flashy winger wore this boot. Although the material is starting to feel a lot stiffer than modern boots and a lot less comfortable. But looks-wise, it's got to be a 9 out of 10.
So all the boots have been pretty close on the look scale so far, but how will these perform for skills?
I feel like some very skillful players wore these boots, so they should be quite good. Three attempts, we'll take that.
So a solid performance on the skill test, but how will they do for shooting?
I feel like they're going to be good for shooting. Ooh. Ooh, effort. Oh. Get in. Oh.
Now these boots actually felt really nice for shooting. They seem to be a lot more solid than the previous boots, but it was still taking me a while to hit the back of the net.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Finish.
So 10 attempts to score past our pro keeper with the 2008 boot, and a trend is starting to show, but will this continue when we go back another 4 years to 2004?
Now we're in 2004 and the boots are starting to look very different. This is the Adidas F50 Spider. They've got a lace cover to hide the laces away, making it easier to strike the ball on the front. They've got this cool, almost spiderweb design.
In 2004, these were one of the lightest football boots around, weighing around 300 grams, but today these would be considered pretty heavy.
So overall, I'd say these look decent, 7 out of 10.
Next up, skills test.
First attempt, That actually surprised me because they're 20 years old now. Surely I can't keep this up.
So just one attempt for the 2004 boots, but how will they do against a goalkeeper?
Okay, shooting. I'm feeling confident about these boots. Oh. Oh! What a goal. Second attempt. Oh! Oh!
So just 2 attempts on the shooting test, and these boots have performed very well. We've gone back 20 years and there's still no decline in performance. But now let's go back another 6 to 1998.
1998, we've got the first ever Nike Mercurial. These are just a beautiful football boot and they're not cheap. On the second-hand market, these now sell for thousands of pounds. They're one of the most expensive football boots you can buy. And design-wise, they're just iconic. It's got to be a 10 out of 10.
So we've gone back 27 years and the football boots are still looking really good. If anything, the designs have just gotten better. But how will the R9 Mercurials perform on the skills test?
I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should.
There we go.
So our first decline on the skill test, taking 6 attempts. Now for shooting.
Oh. Save. Oh. 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 R9. 9 attempts. What are the odds?
So 9 attempts on the shooting test, and we're starting to see an upward trend. But now let's go back to the early 90s, where I think is where football boots really start to show their age.
Now we're back to the early 1990s and we've got this classic black and white design Diadora football boot. This is the first boot of the video that's not Nike or Adidas. And in the early 90s, this is where football boots start to really look quite different. There's no bright, bold pink, green, blue colours. It's pretty basic designs. So overall, these have got to be a 5 out of 10 for looks.
Now, on the skill test, the weight and bulkiness of the boots made it a lot harder to do, but after 9 attempts, I finally landed it. Next up, shooting.
Oh. Save. Oh. 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 Yeah, got him.
So it took me 11 attempts to score in the 1990s boots, and we're starting to see the graph take shape. But now let's travel back another 10 years to the 1980s. Football in the 1980s, when the fields were still muddy and the game was very different. It demanded boots that were tough, practical and ready for anything.
It's pretty much as basic as you can get for a football boot. Well, actually, you'll see how basic it can get when we roll back the years a bit further, but leather design, I quite like the yellow stripes and the yellow accents. They look pretty cool. Interesting tongue here that I've not seen on a football boot before. Red studs. I think these are going to affect my performance now, but design-wise, let's give them a 5 out of 10.
So I laced up the 1980s boots, and honestly, they were pretty comfortable. The leather upper was a nice change from the more synthetic boots we've had so far, but on the skills test, they were quite slippy and heavier than the more modern boots. So it took me 10 tries to land my hardest trick. There we go. Now, how will these boots perform for shooting?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So despite not feeling too bad, it was taking me a while to score in the 1980s boots.
Ah. Say. Oh.
But after 15 attempts, I finally did it.
Oh. Boom.
So 15 shots for the 1980s boots, and they're starting to get old now. So let's go back another 20 years to the 1960s.
So we've gone back another 20 years and I'm going to be honest, the design has not changed very much at all. It's basically the exact same, but just a lot less comfortable. You can see the studs on the bottom are actually pretty decent. The leather is super hard and they're not going to be comfortable, these boots. And looks wise, well, it's got to be a 4 out of 10.
Now, football boots in the 1960s would absorb water, so on a wet pitch they could get very heavy. But this is the last time in this video that a football boot will even slightly resemble a modern day pair. After this, things start to look very different, but let's see how well the 1960s pair do for skills.
I feel like this could take a while. Not the cleanest, but we're taking that.
So it was a battle, but we did it in 12 attempts. How about shooting?
Save.
Now these boots might be from the 1960s, but the keeper's not.
Ah.
So it was pretty clear that my shooting ability had gone downhill.
Ah.
But after 15 attempts, I hit the back of the net.
Oh, it's gone in.
Now let's go back another 10 years, and this is where football boots start to become unrecognisable.
Right, this is where things are getting pretty interesting now. The toe on these, absolutely solid. They're not the best looking boot in the world, let's be honest. They're not going to be comfortable at all. We've got a high collar design. I'm sure this is going to affect performance massively. And design wise, well, I'm struggling to give it more than a 3 out of 10.
Can we just mention the size of the laces on these? That is just ridiculous. But I put them on feet and they were just as uncomfortable as I expected. I've honestly got no idea how players would wear these for 90 minutes. But let's see if I can land my hardest skill in them.
Okay, I think this skill might genuinely be impossible in these boots, but we'll give it a good go. I like it flicks back at you, the ball.
So yeah, no chance of that. But what are they like for shooting?
Oh, oh no. You've got to respect the players back in the day.
Unbelievable.
Oh, get in. Oh.
So my main technique for these was the topo.
Oh my day.
And it was actually working okay. But it still took me 22 shots to score a goal.
Oh, finish.
Yeah.
So 22 shots before I finally scored a goal, and that's quite literally off the chart. But we're not done yet, there's still 2 more pairs to test out. And next, we travel back to the early 1900s.
So the 1930s boots, the classic brown leather design. Once again, super hard toe, and we're actually missing a stud on this pair, so that's not ideal, but probably very common at the time.
This is just an example of a stud back in the 1900s, and they'd hammer them in with a nail, so a few missing studs would have been very common.
So I'm sure my performance is going to be downgraded in these, but we'll find out. And design-wise, well, 2 out of 10.
When it came to doing skills in these boots, it's virtually impossible. So we'll put that down as a fail, but shooting, is it even possible to score in these boots?
Oh. 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 Oh.
So as you'd probably expect, my shooting ability went downhill quickly, and toe pokes were my main technique. And after 20 shots, my feet were starting to hurt. But I took a few more terrible shots before eventually scoring this worldie.
Finish.
So 25 shots to score in the 1900s boots. And now we go back to our final football boot of the video. Well, to be honest, I'm not even sure you can call it a football boot. So in the 1800s, football boots weren't really a thing, so players would wear their work boots. They were bulky, heavy, and had steel toe caps, which is perfect for factory work, but not so much for football. Now, I couldn't get an exact pair of 1800s work boots, so this is a modern shoe, but not too dissimilar to what they would have worn.
And let's be honest, as a football boot, it's hard to rate the design more than a 1 out of 10.
Now, as you can imagine, skills were near impossible in these things. And well, shooting wasn't much better either. So the only technique I could do in these things was a volley, but somehow after 15 shots I got very lucky. So this is the final chart for shooting, and you can see that football boots have definitely got better over time. The design of boots looked like it peaked in the early 2000s, and for technical skills, modern boots were definitely the best. And if nothing else, this video has given me a lot more respect to those who were playing football hundreds of years ago.